The Morimoto XB LED projector headlight for the 18 to 20 Ford F-150 just got a facelift. So we're going to talk about what's new and why you should consider this for your truck. The XB LED headlights are brighter, they look better, they're DOT compliant, and you get features that just don't exist on your original equipment. In just a minute, we're going to talk about how to install if this looks like something that you want to put on your truck. But first, we're going to talk about the differences between the new facelift version and the original, and then beam patterns so you know exactly why you need these on your F-150. The original XB LED headlight for the 18 and up F-150 shattered records. It was the best looking headlight out there, and the new facelift version has all the same high quality components, but it has better performance and slightly better looks. If you see on the original XB LED, you still have those 4 LED projectors in that piano black housing, but it was 2 low beam and 2 high beam. The new XB LED with the facelift, all 4 of them do low beam, and the bottom 2 still do your high beam. So you get a significantly better low beam all around, but that's not all. Internally, the overall light output per projector was boosted. So these are going to perform better than even the original. And the original was already way better than stock. Secondly is the look. The DRL is the same, the turn signal is the same, the install is the same, the lenses are the same, none of that changed. However, the interior black piano look of the bezel on the original was pretty smooth. The new one has the same type of styling as the new Ford Expedition. It's a more aggressive, modern look, and it really finishes off the look of your Ford F-150, giving an OEM Plus type upgrade. But that's not all. Check out the startup sequence. This has never been on the Ford F-150 headlights before, and it's brand new on the 18 and up XB LED headlight. Every time you fire up the vehicle, it does this animated startup sequence. Even if you already have the XB LEDs, this feature alone is possibly worth upgrading for. In just a minute, we're going to walk you through every single step it takes to do the install on the new XB LED headlight. But first I want to cover 4 specific things that you should be aware of. Number 1, on the original halogen and LED headlights, you've got an adjuster like this. The way it works is your screwdriver goes in, you turn it, and that's what gives you your up and down adjustment. Now on the new Morimoto XB, we have that exact same thing, but it just looks a little bit different. You go down from the top, there's a cutout, and it goes into this gear, and that's what turns your headlight. The other option for doing your vertical headlight aiming on the XB LED is before you do the install, you can put the screwdriver on this way and you can turn it up and down. Adjusting the headlight vertically off the truck is a little quicker, albeit a little bit less convenient. Up to you. The second thing I want to point out is when you get the original headlight off the truck, take those screws off and pull this bracket off. Use the same original screws to mount it on your new LED headlight so it bolts to the truck correctly. Now let's talk about wiring. In just a minute, we're going to actually install this on the truck, but I want to give you a close-up look on the table beforehand. Number 1 is this long extension that has 1 wire per connector. This is designed specifically to turn it from sequential to standard turn signal mode. A lot of people love the sequential option and a lot of people don't. This is on an extended harness to make it easy to fish it up and out of the headlight area so that after they're installed, you can make the change very easily and quickly anytime you want. To adjust it from sequential or standard, it's a matter of plugging it in or having it unplugged. Moving down the harness, we have this 2-pin connector. This is going to look exactly like the original parking light on your factory headlights. You take the original wire harness from your truck for parking lights and you plug it in here. You're going to find a single orange wire connector coming out with a dummy plug on it. If you have the halogen headlights like it's set up for right now, you're going to want to keep that covered and don't hook it up to anything. In a second, we'll show you what to do with that if you have an LED equipped truck. Down here we have another single wire connector with a blue wire. This is your DRL feed. If you have the halogen truck and you're looking at the blue wire, that goes to your DRL harness. Your LED equipped truck feeds that directly. If you have the halogen truck, you need to run your wire harness to the fuse box. Now this takes a couple minutes. There's no cutting, no splicing. Just make sure you route the wiring away from any moving parts. This goes in your fuse box, and in just a minute we'll show you where to put it in the fuse box. And then these two connectors go to each of your headlights. Only if you have the halogen headlight truck. You run it over to the headlight and it plugs into your blue DRL wire. For the wiring on the halogen equipped trucks, there's two more connectors. You've got one for your low beam and high beam and one for your turn signal. These are designed exactly the same as your original headlight wiring. It's plug and play. Now let's talk about if you have the LED equipped truck. We're going to take this adapter harness and swap it out for this one and remove a resistor. At that point, you don't need to install the DRL harness to the fuse box. Let's show you how to do that. I'm going to remove the connections for the halogen wiring. And in the box, you'll get this for the LED vehicle. The way it installs is everything's plug and play. This 4-pin connector goes to this 4-pin connector. This 3-pin connector goes to this 3-pin connector. Then you have two more, orange and blue. They match these orange and blue wires. This blue wire goes to this blue wire. We're going to now take out this dummy plug and do orange wire to orange wire. At this point, it's going to look like this. This goes to your OEM parking light wiring. All of this is already connected. This one is your sequential turn signal. And we have one more set of wires down here. You only need this little box if you're hooking it up to the halogen equipped truck. If you don't need this, you can either leave it just like this, or you could take it off with these two screws. It's up to you. At the end of the day, the wiring install is really simple. There are a lot of connectors, but your truck has a lot of connectors. Everything you need is included in the box, and in just a minute, we'll show you how to do the install. First, let's talk about the beam patterns. Here's the original halogen headlight that you're used to seeing if you already own this truck. You can see that it's about what you'd expect for a halogen light bulb, but it's really not very bright. But watch what happens, this major upgrade when we turn on the LED Morimoto projector headlights. Now that's what you need in your truck. This looks just like all the other high-end luxury vehicles that are focused on safety, and this one gives you upgraded style too. However, that's only part of the story. Check out the original high beam for your Ford F-150. It's actually not that bad in terms of high beams, but it's nothing compared to this LED headlight. Here's the Morimoto XB LED high beam. You notice that we still have the horizontal beam pattern and the cutoff line from the low beam, but there's a huge amount of light right in the middle. This is a massive upgrade over stock, and it will change your driving life. Trust me. Now that you've decided that the Morimoto XB LED projector headlight is what you're going to put on your truck, let's talk about the install with Caleb.
This is Caleb with HR. Let's go ahead and pop the hood and let's get started. So there's a series of pop tabs up top here to remove this top plastic cover. There's a total of 14 of them. Go ahead and make use of a pry tool. So we're removing this starting here. So with all those plastic clips removed, now we're free to go ahead and pull the plastic cover off the truck. Go ahead and grab it here, lift up on the intake. Once it's free, set it to the side. Next step here is we're going to be removing this lower portion from the truck. First things first, grab a 7mm. We're going to go ahead and remove 2 bolts from the inner fender here. So with those 2 7mm bolts removed from each fender well, Now we're free to go ahead and pull this lower section off. There are clips in here, so you're going to have to pull firmly towards you, and they should come right out for you. Go ahead and pop the other side as well. If you have a buddy, go ahead and have him support the other side while you pull out this side. Set this off to the side. So with that lower piece now removed from the truck, go ahead and remove these 4 bolts here and here. They are 10 millimeters. We're going to start working on removing the grill. So with those 4 10 millimeters removed from the top, there is 2 more connectors we need to remove, here and here. So go ahead and grab these, unconnect, like so, and remove the factory wiring loom right here. So next step here is to go ahead and remove the grill from the truck. Go ahead and make use of a pry tool and start on this side here. Now, before we take the grill off the truck, there is an 8 millimeter bolt tucked inside here. So go ahead and make use of an extension and reach on in there. With those removed, we are free to take the grill off the truck. So, go ahead and grab it now, pull straight towards you. Work your way towards the bottom. And with it free, set it off to the side. So the next thing here is we are going to remove a series of 10 millimeter bolts. They are here, here, and here. So before we remove this piece here, there is one more plastic push pin here. Go ahead and take your pry tool. So with that plastic pin removed now, there is a little piece here that we need to take a pair of pliers to. Go ahead and reach in there, pull those together, and set this to the side. So next step is just to remove these 2 lower bolts. There is a 10 millimeter here and an 8 millimeter here. Go ahead and remove those. So with that done, all we have to do is remove 2 10 millimeter bolts up top and 1 plastic push pin. So let's go ahead and do this. So before we pull the housing from the truck, there is an air duct tucked inside here. Go ahead and take a tool and just get this guy out of the way so it doesn't cause any problems when you're pulling the housing. Just like so. So with that out of the way, go ahead and grab your housing and pull it free from the vehicle. So to remove the housing from the truck, go ahead and take the factory connections and pull off like so. And one more, go ahead and remove the final connector. And the housing is free from the vehicle. Set this aside. Go ahead and do the same process on the other side. So before we put the assemblies into the truck, we're going to run our DRL harness first. This is the DRL harness. You're going to see 2 proprietary connections for the headlights themselves, and here's our fuse tap for the fuse box. So let's go ahead and run this in the truck first, and then we'll move on to the housings. So go ahead and start with removing the top of the fuse box here. Just pull up on the clip. Set this off to the side. So here is our fuse that we're going to be tapping here. It's this red 10. Let's go ahead and take a pair of needle nose pliers. So now we're going to go ahead and replace that 10 amp fuse that we just removed with our DRL fuse tab. And with that in place, go ahead and replace the cover that we removed, and we'll run the harness. So with the fuse tap in place now we can go ahead and run our DRL connections to each side. There is a shorter length and a longer length. You'll see this when you pull your harness out. Take the shorter length to the passenger side and run the longer length across the top to the driver's side. So go ahead and run the shorter end through here. You can see it peek through here. So go ahead and take the rest of the loom. For now, we're just going to run it up top here. So with these housings here, we are going to need to remove a factory part and transfer it over to the XB. This is the bracket here. There are 3 T25 Torx bits that we need to remove from here to remove this bracket. So with those bolts removed, go ahead and take this part here, slide it off the housing, and we'll now fasten this to the XB. So right out of the box, these housings are set up for halogen trucks, but for those LED folks out there, there is a connection included with it. It has the adapters needed for your truck. I'm going to show you how to wire these up right now. So this is the conversion harness included for those LED folks out there. This 4-pin connection here, this is going to be for your high and low beam. The 3 connection here, this is for your turn signals. The blue wired pin here, this is for your DRL harness. And you're going to see an orange wired connection here. You can leave this alone, it will not be used. This is the LED conversion harness right here. You're going to take the 4-wire here and replace this with this connection. You're going to come up and see the 3-wire connection here. This is where you'll insert this guy. And your blue wire is going to come here to this blue wired connection. So now we're going to go ahead and replace this bracket onto the XB headlight. So go ahead and take it now, line up the screws here with here, and slide it right over the top. So with that in place now, we can go ahead and replace these bolts into the bracket. So with the bracket now bolted in place fully, this housing is ready to go on the truck. We're going to go ahead and take our connections now and start plugging everything in. So let's go ahead and start with our low and high beam connection. This is the OEM connector here. Push it in like so. So go ahead and take your 3-pin turn signal connection here and take your OEM turn signal connection here. Now we're going to go ahead and take our OEM side marker connection and take it to the XB. And now here's the DRL harness that we ran earlier. This is the blue connection here. Go ahead and plug these in. And now we're ready to bolt the headlight into the truck. You're gonna have one last wire left over from the XB headlight. This is your turn signal selection. Unplugged is going to be the sequential chase style. If you plug this in, this is going to allow the standard on-off blink. We kind of dig the sequential style here, so we're gonna leave it unplugged for now. So with all the connections in their place, go ahead and take the headlight assembly and maneuver it into place. So with the headlight assembly in the truck, before we tidy everything up and bolt it back in, let's go ahead and run through the functions really quick just to make sure everything's running as it should. Tidy up your wiring and off you go.
There are a lot of LED headlight upgrades on the market for the F-150, and in this video we just talk about one. Go check out our other videos and you'll see a whole bunch of F-150 videos for lighting upgrades. We do interior lighting, turn signals, and my favorite thing, reverse lights. Seriously, you have to go check it out. And of course, this isn't the last F-150 video we're doing, so subscribe so you don't miss our next video. Thanks for watching.